Hey, what's up guys? Handsome Jack Boy here, and today I'm going to be showing you guys 5 more things you probably didn't know about Borderlands. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, if you guys recall, during the Dr. Ned DLC storyline, during the Jakobs fodder mission, once we go back and try to turn that mission in, there'll be a claptrap, like a Jakobs brand claptrap that ends up shooting the other claptrap that was already there, that's been there ever since, you started the DLC. But what's interesting about this Jakobs brand claptrap is that the revolver that he uses to shoot the other claptrap is actually, it's mostly made of Jakobs other than the grip. The grip is actually an Atlas grip. So, yeah, pretty weird, right? Now, as I was going through the Jakobs Cove DLC in order to reach that point where, the Jakobs claptrap shoots the other claptrap, I stumbled upon something else that was kind of interesting to me that I'm not sure if a lot of other people know. This one's kind of a bonus one, by the way. But when you're going through the Jakobs fodder mission and you reach that point where, you have to wait for that rocket to come down, you can, have to fend off a bunch of zombies and whatnot. Once that rocket does come down and you take a good look at it, it looks like a Jakobs rocket, right? Pretty much what you'd expect. But once you then, enter this rocket, you take it back to Jakobs Cove, you'll notice that this little rocket, or, I guess it's technically like a drop pod or something. I'll just call it a pod from now on. You'll notice that it looks completely different. And as it turns out, it's just a regular old Crimson Lance drop pod. The one that you see in, for example, Salt Flats. Yeah, it's that same exact drop pod. I mean, I'm not really sure why they did this, especially considering they went out of their way to make a special Jakobs pod, and then all of a sudden we're like, okay, well, screw it. We'll just go back and use the Crimson Lance pod instead. Maybe nobody will notice. Well, I noticed, and probably a bunch of other people noticed. I actually don't really know how obscure this one is, but yeah, hopefully some of you didn't know about that. Now, credit goes to Sleepmaster for this next one, but Master Mloud actually has a bit of a secret. So his weapon, the cannon, which is just like a generic Iridian weapon that you'd find anywhere else, actually is supposed to be a unique, and it's supposed to be called the Mega Cannon, at least in the code. But for whatever reason, in the game, it's just a regular cannon. But Sleepmaster, with his Iridian Weapons Overhaul mod, basically transformed this this cannon into the original Mega Cannon that Master Mloud was actually supposed to be using. Plus, he also made it come in a variety of rarities, which is pretty cool. And once again, just an extra fact for you guys, since I'm on the topic anyway. Apparently, the Drifters and Badass Bruisers in the Nox DLC have Master Mloud's loot pool, at least in the sense that they can drop this quote-unquote Mega Cannon. So there is a chance that you can see a Badass Bruiser wielding this Mega Cannon, which is pretty fucking awesome. Now we're just going to rapid fire these next two since they're pretty short, and once again, credit goes to Sleepmaster for these. But did you guys know that the Destroyer has unused tentacles? I sure as hell didn't. I'm not really sure what they were going to be used for, if they were going to, attack you. It does look like they actually have like teeth and stuff, so maybe they would latch onto you. I don't know. But regardless, I'm kind of glad they didn't make it into the game. They kind of freaked me out a little bit, not going to lie. Now, did you guys know that at some point late in development, you were actually originally supposed to use these little weapon trainer items to level up your proficiencies? Yeah, apparently that was going to be a thing. You'd most likely get them from quest rewards. And as you can see, they even have their own model and UI element as well, which basically shows how late in development these things stayed until they were inevitably replaced with the proficiency system we have now. So for this last one, credit goes to the Camped Dutchman for discovering this, and also Sleepmaster for, telling me about this discovery. But apparently Reaver, instead of spawning in Crom's Canyon, he would actually spawn much earlier in the game in Headstone Mine right here where I'm standing on the map. Now, if you go here on the map, you'll notice, that there's this big building. I'm sure pretty much all of you have seen this. But one thing that stands out, or I wouldn't say that stands out because it's kind of just there, it just blends in with the environment. I'm sure a lot of us just kind of walk past it without even really knowing it's there. But as you can see, there is a garage that's connected to this big building. But apparently this would be Reaver's spawn point. Like, he would come out of this garage, he'd probably crawl under it, just like how he crawls out of that little cave in Crom's Canyon. So it's really interesting. I'm not really sure how this would tie into the game. Like, would it affect the story? I have no idea. But it's definitely really interesting regardless. And yeah, outside of that, guys, that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comments if you knew any of these little obscure facts about Borderlands. I feel like in this one, I definitely covered some really, interesting things that I'm sure a lot of you guys didn't know about. But if you knew any of these, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, aside from that, guys, once again, thanks for watching, and I will hopefully catch y'all on the next one. You guys take care. Peace out.